Welcome to Music Matters Podcast with Darrell Craig Harris, talking about all things music with celebrities, artists, music business insiders, and more.
Sasha Prendes, how you doing today?
I'm doing so good. How are you?
I am good. It's early here on the West Coast, but you're actually in New York City now, but you're a Kansas girl growing up, right?
I am a Kansas girl, the only Cuban in Kansas.
Yeah, you have your official card on the Cuban in Kansas. Awesome. So you are a Latin pop artist, singer, songwriter. You've had great success. Your new single, Shake This, has been number one on the world indie charts, Euro indie charts. You have a new album coming out that you're working on besides the single. So tell me about you. What was it like growing up in Kansas? How did you get your start singing and songwriting and all that?
So growing up in Kansas, I had a beautiful childhood, genuinely. You know, lots of space, didn't have to lock your doors, always barefoot,
Right.
running around, excuse me. And I had 32 kids on the block, and I was like the ringleader. So I was always, getting all the kids together, and we were choreographing dances and putting on shows for Christmas and Thanksgiving and doing all that cool, fun kid stuff, which was really great. And yeah, I had a really lovely time growing up there. I'm a black belt, so I did Taekwondo, I did dance, right. I was a cheerleader. I was involved in broadcast media at my high school. So I was like a news anchor, I was like, "Good morning, Ravens. This is Sasha Prendes here with O&W Now." And like, that doesn't
awesome.
leave you. That doesn't leave you, and
right.
Like, it was in those younger years that I was like, okay, I love being in front of the camera. I have a warrior spirit. I love to fight. I used to do like Olympic sparring, and Kansas was just a great breeding ground for that. It was a great place for me to grow up and have a really nice, wholesome upbringing. And my parents are wonderful and super supportive of all of my dreams. And it was different though. Like, we were different in the sense of like, my parents came from the East Coast, after Cuba, they came to New Jersey and then to Kansas. And so they're wearing all black, and the cars are black, and the sunglasses are on inside, and we're playing salsa music. I mean, so after a couple of years of living in the neighborhood, our neighbors were like, "Hey, what's up? Are you guys in the witness protection program? Like what is going on?"
Funny.
Like, that is awesome. And my parents didn't tell me that until years later, but I was like, that is hilarious. And they're playing dominoes in my parents' living room, everyone's friends. And then they're like, "All right, guys, a couple of beers in." They're like, "We got a question."
Come on, fess up. That's funny. So how did you originally get singing and getting involved in singing and songwriting? What were some of your early inspirations for that?
So as a little peanut, I was always dancing and singing, and I started with like Disney sing-alongs, Barney, I'm dating myself here, but the Disney sing-alongs, with the little bounce that would go on top of the words. And so I was like reading and singing all at the same time. And my mom was super supportive of that, and started writing songs around age 8. And I just remember like there being a few like writing assignments, and I didn't complete them. And I didn't realize until like a month later that like I had like missing assignments, and I'm 8 years old in 4th grade. And, the teacher's like, "Oh, hey, let me look at your notebook. Like, let me see, like, maybe you just kind of fell behind on some things." It was just songs.
Yeah, right.
Songs. And I just completely like, went into my own world, and I would just be humming and singing and under the desk and writing. And I was really shy about my talent. But ever since I was little, I knew I was like, I want to be the next Britney Spears. I want to be a Spice Girl,
I was going to ask you, so what are some of your early inspirations? I mean, obviously, like, they were really powerful artists, right, when you're growing up. But who are some of the other ones that you think of?
So, I mean, I'm a Backstreet Boys and NSYNC kind of girl too.
Okay.
I grew up, at the heart of like, at the heat of all of these bands and all of these like uber pop stars that were coming out, which is so cool. Taylor Swift, massive influence for me, especially during my preteen years. She really, she wrote an album about what it's like to be in high school and what it's like to be in junior high. And she was right. Like she kept it 100. Like that's exactly what it felt like. And I think that's why she has such a loyal following, is because people have grown with her, and then also like they can genuinely relate to her music. I know that she had a a very normal young adult life, before music.
So, Taylor's been so influential to so many artists too. Can you think of are there any Latin artists that have really inspired you?
Jennifer Lopez, J-Lo.
I worked with Jennifer.
No way.
Yeah.
As an icon, as a performer, as a writer, as a businesswoman,
right.
As she's one of the most successful Latin businesswomen in the world. And, to other places, other people in other countries, she's like a goddess, which, she is. But I really admire her and look up to her because her work ethic is unlike anything I've ever seen. And I just love and appreciate her efforts and how she's been able to grow in the industry and become a mom and get married and still run, 12 businesses and make music and tour and have a 6-pack. I'm like, girl, show me your ways.
Yeah, she's no joke. I'll tell you, she's definitely in charge. That's for sure. And I know she's inspired a lot of young Latin artists, and she actually supports a lot of them too, which is awesome. Tell me about your new single, Shake This. How did that come about? What was your inspiration for writing it?
So Shake This is kind of funny. So D. Lawrence and I, my producer, who is just phenomenal, and I'm so blessed to have him in my life. Like he was my mentor's mentor, and that's how we were brought together, which was really cool. So we're talking, we're working together, we're building this whole thing, this project, and I open up to him and I'm like, hey, like this happened to me, or like this guy ghosted me, really hurt my feelings. You know what I mean? Like what ghosted
life stuff, right?
Like, what, right? It's like we could be the baddest bitches in the world and we could be doing so much, but then the one guy that we like doesn't text us back and our whole day is ruined. It's like, what is this? What's up with that? So D was also going through something, and he looks at me and he's like, we need to shake this. We need to shake this. And I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, what? Yeah, we need to shake this. Yeah, I need to get rid of this. This is hurting my feelings. And next morning calls me 9 a.m. He's like, here are the lyrics. Shake this up. You at the studio. Shake this up. You at the studio. With no, that's the only context I have. And
that's awesome though.
So awesome. And then I like to work on the spot. I'm great at improv. I love to whatever the initial,
right? Yeah.
The initial thing that comes out of me is usually the best. I don't have to simmer on things for too long.
Right.
And and like we're in there, and he's just like, and we're just making it happen, like writing it as we go along, changing it, harmonies, different parts. I'm like, ooh, let me try this, let me try that. Then we did a Spanish version, which was really cool.
Awesome. Yeah.
So
I think that's like you mentioned that too, because I think that was something like going way back when Miami Sound Machine, something that they did on their albums is that they would record the album and then they would record, I guess, what they thought were going to be the hits, re-record them in Spanish. And I always thought, man, that's so smart, right?
I love it. I think that, it's a huge part of who I am. And I'm so blessed to have been born in the United States, right? Like the opportunities that I have had just from being here are tremendous and outdo, most of the world, and especially my people in Cuba. And so to kind of be out here and like living the quote unquote American dream is really cool. And I believe it's important to keep that culture and to keep the traditions and to take the good. So there's so many good things about being Cuban. There's so many good things about being American. Every culture has its cons, but I, in my music, want to be a celebration of unity and things that bring people together. And so, being Cuban, I still go home and speak Spanish. My grandparents, praise God, they're still alive, and they tell me stories and we connect and we bond. And I'll be like in tears when they're telling me, some crazy shit. I'll be like, if it wasn't for your sacrifice, I would not be able to be here,
Yeah, but that's for real though, right? Yeah.
But it's so true, right? And so that's my favorite part about singing in Spanish. I have a different linguistic ability when I sing in Spanish.
Sure, yeah.
Comes out different.
And it's just such a great language to sing in, right?
It is actually kind of enjoy it a little bit more than singing in English. Like it just rolls out, and the air and the way everything is supposed to go when you sing, it's just very free when I sing in Spanish. And I think it's just the way that your throat and your tongue and everything moves versus English, But of course I get coaching, sing in both languages to constantly work on that,
Hey, why not use both, right? Absolutely. It gives you twice the reach, which is amazing. So tell me, I know you're involved also in some nonprofit and charity work, and tell me about that because it's really important. Read a little bit about what you're doing.
Thank you. Oh my God. Yeah, I am honored to be a part of all of these galas, and I've been invited to perform at them and sing, and I love speaking to audiences. I love public speaking, and and it's really powerful because the first foundation that I really got involved in is the Luisa Diaz Foundation, and she works with victims and survivors of domestic violence and human trafficking.
Oh, wow.
And she's also Latina. And so she works with everyone. It's not just for Latinas, it's for everyone. But it's cool to see someone who, her grandmother was like severely, severely abused. And she saw that her whole life and, wanted to help others. And she's done tremendous work. I believe she's had her nonprofit for 9 years.
Wow.
Which is incredible. And she's beautiful inside and out. Her slogan is kindness is cool. And I love it. I'm like, kindness is cool. We need more of this.
Exactly.
I agree. So that's right. No, seriously. We need a little bit more kindness.
Exactly.
And then I've been working with Le Couleur with Aura Copeland, who is an angel baby. She's so sweet. And it's specifically an organization called the Create Program, and they teach art and music and dance and just pretty much anything that allows these kids to be creative.
Amazing.
At the orphanages. So a lot of these kids don't have parents, and it's specifically in Haiti, Nepal, and Mexico. In these specific spots where like the need is the most tremendous.
Right.
And for $11 a month, you can actually sponsor like a kid, like full on. You get photos of the child and everything. And it was such a cool event on Thursday or on Tuesday to sing for them and to get everyone excited because, when you go to these charity events, right, it's like, okay, the drinks are flowing. Sometimes there's food, the lights, the cameras, the action, everyone's all dressed up, having a good time, feeling good, smelling good. I'm up there singing, doing my thing. And in the middle of the song, I just was like, how blessed are we that we get to be here right now?
Exactly.
How blessed are we that we get to come together and we get to party and we get to have this great time and raise this money and look glamorous and walk a red carpet, but also to remember like we're so privileged and it's our duty and the purpose for being here is to give back. So please, everyone, let's step up and let's make a small contribution, and
totally agree.
It's crazy. Like it's so powerful. And I love seeing these really strong women both from the States and from other countries coming together and, creating these organizations and doing all these projects to help kids and to help other people. Because you can't save everyone, but sure can make a difference,
Yeah. And it's, the thing is, like you say, we are privileged. We kind of forget that here in the States. And I travel quite a bit. My wife's actually from Mexico. And
wow.
Yeah. So $11 a month doesn't sound like a lot to us, but to them, it can change their life. Right.
Exactly. Especially when it comes to just like, bringing in the volunteers and flights and having them stay there. And then they bring in mentors. And this is for La Couleur. They bring in mentors and teachers and people from within the community to build trust because these kids don't have parents.
Right. Yeah. And that's such a need. And they just, I think the kids, kids grow up, but they're just kids who just want to be loved, cared about, and have some inspiration. Right. That's a super important thing. So that's something we can all do. It's a little kind thing. But also, so speaking of kids, what's your advice for young artists and kids that want to get into the arts? Like, what's some of the things that you've really learned along the way?
I got a few. This has been a great question that I've been asked. And I remember asking other artists this question as well. And so like, just thinking back to like what I would tell like little peanut Sasha, don't listen to what other people say. Like, don't listen to the negative. I know I still sometimes have it in the back of my mind of this one girl who was like, who's the worst singer? Sasha. and I thought back about that this morning and I was just like, okay,
Exactly.
And so
success is the best.
Right. It's like, don't listen to the haters. Like, and the other biggest thing is just to not quit. One thing I learned in sparring is it doesn't matter how good the other person is in the ring. It doesn't matter what technique, what this, that, and the third. When it comes to fighting, it's whoever has the most stamina, whoever can stay standing, because it takes everything out of you. So for me to have been doing this now for, a decade, and to now finally be seeing some success, it's like, you just got to keep going and you got to keep believing and you got to keep working on your craft to control your controllables,
Right.
create that stamina, get that tough skin. And even when I'm scared shitless, I keep going, you know?
Yeah, I think that's something I've learned really too. And the same thing is like oftentimes the people that win are the people that don't give up. That's a key thing that you learn when you talk to successful people, like, because everybody goes through hard times, but it's the people that just have that determination that nothing is going to stop them. That's when you get there, right?
Yeah. And trust me, there are days where I'm crying and there are days where I'm like not feeling myself and feeling insecure and I'm letting the doubts come in. And that's when I turn to faith, you know, like, pray a lot. I talk to my family, I try to read, journal. I try to do these things that make me feel a bit better and ask myself, like, why am I talking so negatively to myself? You know, why am I saying like, oh, Sasha, you're not pretty enough, or you're not good enough, or you're not skinny enough? And it's just like, you have to fight that little devil on your shoulder because it's human nature. But
yeah, you have to be able to be kind to yourself.
Because kindness is cool.
Exactly.
Kindness is cool. Kindness is cool. And if you're kind to yourself, you're going to do more cool things.
That's absolutely right. Tell me how people can find you, and then also the organizations that you work with.
Yes, of course. You guys can all find me at sashaprendes.com, and it's Sasha Prendes with an S. Also on my Instagram, Sasha Prendes, TikTok, Twitter, which I think is now called X, and
yeah, exactly.
Everything. My hit single is called Shake This, so feel free to Google Sasha Prendes, Shake This, and you will find me everywhere music lives. If you want to get involved in some of these amazing organizations that are saving women, children, boys everywhere, all over the world, Le Couleur, it sounds French, Le Couleur, and also the Luisa Diaz Foundation. So please reach out, check us out online, and join the club.
So, and we'll put links in the podcast description to the organizations and to you, of course. And thank you so much for taking the time. Your new single is awesome. Was checking it out. Makes me want to dance. So I'm boogieing as I'm listening. And have an awesome time in New York. And I wish you the best success. I'll be looking forward to when your full album comes out. Maybe we can revisit this podcast adventure when that happens.
Oh my God, yes! Especially when the next single comes out, because there's another single coming out. Out here really soon. But I was going to ask you, which one is your favorite? Shake This in English or Shake This in Spanish?
Well, I didn't know there was a Shake This in Spanish. So I'm going to go check that out. But I love Spanish. I mean, the singing in Spanish is so emotive, right?
You got to show your wife. You got to tell me what your wife thinks.
I will do that. Yeah, I will do that. That's awesome. Hey, Sasha, have an awesome day in New York, and hopefully we'll meet up on the road someday soon.
For sure. I would love that.
Great. Have a great day.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us, and please consider subscribing to our podcast and follow us on our social media pages for guest announcements.